Hi guys, today I'm going to clean a mossy roof. Now it's just the leading edge of the shingles that's bad, but this is one of those projects that I want to nip in the butt before it gets out of control. This is my second attempt. Not that I actually tried cleaning it, I just somehow forgot that I hate heights. And I only remembered that when I went to climb onto the roof with my sprayer, and I just ended up throwing that plan out the window. No. If you guys take anything away from this video, it's that if your gut says it's not safe or you're uncomfortable, there's no shame in trying a different solution or having someone else do it who can do it safely. So my initial plan was to use wet and forget concentrator in a pump sprayer. I had used that to great effect last year on other areas of the house. After ruling that out, I started checking for something I could use from the ground, or at least from only a couple rungs up the ladder. And I supposedly can get about a 30-foot reach when I connect this to my garden hose. My house is about 10 years old now, so I've got about 10 years of mossy buildup in this northern exposed section of the house. And even in the morning, I get a very little bit of sunlight there. And there's a pretty significant difference between the side over here that gets sunlight and the side over here that doesn't. And I want to just kind of treat the spots that are starting to build up. I used the concentrate previously on mildew and algae growth on my vinyl siding and trim and post light with pretty great results. And even a year later, a lot of that mildew hasn't come back, even in areas that I think personally are pretty prone to it. So I'm pretty excited to try this solution to see if it does work long-term as well. So this doesn't really seem like rocket science. It's going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to thread the hose in the back. All right, and plus we've got a couple of settings here. We've got off, kind of low, medium, and high. So should be pretty easy to make sure I am following directions. I'm gonna put some gloves on. It's my protection. Just in case it gets windy, I don't need any of this in my eyes. But let's get to the fun part. Let's get to some spraying. We're gonna see how far it throws, and then we're gonna come back and see how well it actually treated these spots. Reading the reviews of the wet and forget, I get the impression that people don't wait long enough or just aren't reading the directions. It's the forget about it part that I think people aren't forgetting about. You gotta spray it and leave it for a couple of weeks. If you need this to work that afternoon or tomorrow because you've got people coming over, this isn't the solution. It's not gonna work that fast. Or at least I don't think it's gonna work that fast. I'm gonna spray it and we're gonna come back in a couple of weeks and see. So last time I used the concentrate, it took about 4 weeks to see results. I think that's really gonna vary depending on the weather conditions. The wind and the rain really help remove a lot of what's on your siding or on your roof. So the amount it could throw was pretty good. I have a feeling I'm somewhat limited by how high above my faucet I am, so I've lost a little bit of pressure here. But we are gonna go for the gutters up there. I think that's my next move. I'm gonna do a little bit of the side of the house and the gutters, and yeah, just get the whole thing treated, because I have barely used any of that bottle so far, and that's a great sign. I should be able to treat a lot with this. You know, I've got, certainly in this middle spot here where I'm closer to 2.5 or 3 stories, if you got a spot like that, count on being on a ladder. Otherwise, you'll probably be in pretty good shape and you won't need to be. But those gutters I really want to hit. And I'm just kissing them without the ladder. So we're gonna come up a little bit and keep going. So I've been pretty happy with the reach of the wet and forget spray bottle version. I'm a little wetter than I'd like since I've had to be underneath it, so the safety glasses are a definitely must-have, I think. But now we wait for some wind and rain to take care of this, and we're on to the forget about it process. So we're gonna save you guys the wait, and we're gonna use the magic of editing to jump to future James and see what he thinks. So we are 10 days later, and the moss on the leading edge of all the shingles is clearly dying. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it and see if it just kind of falls away on its own. That would be fantastic. However, up in my top corner of the roof here, it is still green. And when I reviewed my footage from earlier, I think this is where I started spraying, is this top corner. And I think it hasn't worked because I sprayed that spot right away and I moved on, and it didn't look as foamy.
So I think by spraying it immediately and not letting the water run for a few seconds, it didn't get to mix in and look as foamy as it does in this shot here. So we're gonna go ahead and forget about this for a couple more weeks and let it work, and I'll show you the results in just a second.
Well, when you have a needy doodle and you sit, this is what you get. So we're about 5 or 6 weeks later, and I think the Wet and Forget has done a very good job in some areas and not so great in others. And the others, I think, are unrealistic expectations for it. So where I sprayed the roof, it's done a fantastic job. The moss has clearly died, and the rain and all this good summer weather we're having is clearly breaking that moss down and washing it off the roof. I could see that on my gutter guards. Little bits and pieces have been washing down. And for the most part, they're pretty tiny. I can clearly see a lot of it has come off the edge of the shingles, and they've either flushed through the drains or just washed off the roof entirely. Areas it has not worked well on. The gutters, and I think that's because the weather can't work at it. And that's a key component to this forget portion, is you need sunny days and lots of rainy days to really wash away what the Wet and Forget kills. So the underside of my gutters, I'm gonna have to come up with a new solution that is definitely not gonna be kind of self-cleaning over the summer. The back of the house, where I had any kind of little bit of mold or mildew, that's perfect. It's done a really good job self-cleaning, except right up underneath my overhangs, and you can kind of see a little clip of that here. So in general, I'm extremely happy with it, particularly with the fact that I did not need to climb up on the roof. I guess my conclusion here would be I couldn't recommend it enough for a roof or for your vertical surfaces. If you got things like overhangs, I don't believe it's going to work well there. You'll need an alternative solution. But by and large, very happy with this simple solution. It's done a good job on my house, and hopefully it'll do a good job on yours. So if you like this video and you found it helpful in any fashion, please leave me a comment or like or subscribe, or even just tell me you like Lulu here, my needy doodle who needs to be in a lap if I'm sitting, but that's quite all right. We like to pay the dog tax. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Oh, he's a good girl. Oh, he's a good boy. Yes. Can you sit nice? Can you sit nice? Can you sit nice? Oh, no. Just... Good girl. Yes. Oh. Thank you, baby. Yes. Every good DIY project has a healthy amount of dog tax. I'll have to see what they're doing.